Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic, host of the Rush Hour podcast. We have a big update from Justin Baldoni's camp. His lawyer responds to Blake Lively's request to get an extension. Now, the judge has denied Blake Lively's full extension. She wanted like 3+ weeks. The judge says, I'll give you a couple extra days. But Justin Baldoni's lawyer, power attorney Brian Friedman, said, where was the love for me when my home burnt down? It gets personal. What is he talking about? He brings up the California wildfires, the devastating wildfires, one of the biggest natural disasters in our country's history, as an example that Blake Lively's side, for no reason at all, decided against, accepting his extension. And I believe, I could be wrong, but word on the street is they sent him a cease and desist while the wildfires were happening. I don't have all of that information on me right now, but it just goes to show how ugly this is going to get. So I'm going to share what Justin Baldoni's lawyer said in response. Right there, inexplicable refusal to consent, and then, of course, brings up the throes of the LA wildfires. And by the way, this is going to get ugly. If there was any chance that Justin Baldoni's counsel would have said, hey, maybe we should settle, I think it's personal for them too. And I can relate to this because, as you guys know, I was threatened with a $120 million lawsuit this past year for covering the Justice for Clayton case, where I exposed a pregnancy fraud or my community exposed a pregnancy fraud. And I was threatened with lawsuits. I was sued for harassment and all these other things. And the lawyer representing the lady who didn't like the truth I was uncovering, the lawyer, while my wife was 8.5 months pregnant, threatened to unhome us, steal all of our assets, and have the lawyer's client grazing on my property. Again, all of that while we were about to, experience childbirth for the first time and all of that. So I know how personal it is, because metaphorically, I'm ready to burn shit to the ground too. And when you go from a professional environment to a personal environment, the gloves might come off, and it might lead Justin Baldoni's attorney Brian Friedman to cross some T's, dot some I's, and try to bury some B's. That being Blake Lively, and bury, I mean this metaphorically. So she writes to the judge through her attorneys, "Hey, we'd like an extension to file an amended complaint." Blah blah blah. We already covered that. Here is Justin Baldoni's response, and I'm going to share a commenter who gave a great summary of what this actually means. Dear Judge, as counsel for Wayfarer Studios, Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, Steve Sarowitz, It Ends With Us Movies, LLC, Melissa Nathan, The Agency Group PR, LLC, and Jennifer Abel, collectively the Wayfarer parties. We write in response to yesterday's letter from counsel for Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, the Lively parties, which requests extension of their deadlines to amend their complaint and to file a motion to dismiss the Wayfarer parties' amended complaint. Notwithstanding the Lively parties' inexplicable refusal to consent to a similar extension requested by the Wayfarer parties, in the throes of the Los Angeles wildfires, the Wayfarer parties have no objection to the extension sought by the Lively parties. However, if the court extends the Lively parties' deadline to amend their complaint to March 5th, the Wayfarer parties respectfully request that the court extend the Wayfarer parties' deadline to respond thereto to April 16th. So essentially they're saying, look, no, give her the extension, but we would like one in return. And you know what? Let's let this party keep playing out. And while he doesn't personally mention this story behind the throes of the wildfires, we know here from the reporting, Justin Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman's home burned down in the Palisades fire amid ongoing legal battles. And again, this is a tragedy on our nation, and not just a community, but really everyone it affects, from every restaurant to every memory to every park, playground, church, school, and otherwise communal setting. It was a devastation to the Palisades that'll take decades to repair. There is literally homes still burning. I don't know if they're still burning, but they're still in the cleanup process of this. And yet Brian Friedman just says, hey, can I get a couple extra weeks? I'm trying to sort out my family. We need to figure out the hotel we're going to stay at. And instead he gets slapped with more paperwork. So again, it just goes to show it ain't pretty out there. And the audience has responded in kind. Here's what, so he continues. Unfortunately, the Lively Party's letter goes further than a simple request for an extension of time, leveling unnecessary and baseless attacks on non-party Jed Wallace and the litigation pending against Miss Lively in the United States District Court. So Jed Wallace is not part of Brian Friedman's lawsuit in the Wayfair parties. It's separate. While the Lively parties now claim that Mr. Wallace's Texas action suffers from serious issues with respect to jurisdiction, venue, and claims, in Miss Lively's verified petition seeking a pre-suit deposition of Mr. Wallace, Miss Lively acknowledges that jurisdiction in Texas is proper given Mr. Wallace's domicile. A true and correct copy of Miss Lively's petition is attached here too as Exhibit A. Notably, in her pleading, Miss Lively concedes that she lacks sufficient facts to state a claim against Mr. Wallace, hence the need for pre-suit discovery. So she doesn't even have any evidence against him. She just wants to go on, I guess they call this a fishing expedition. While the Wayfair parties strenuously object to the Lively party's assertion that Mr. Wallace's lawsuit is meritless, it bears emphasis that Mr. Wallace is represented by separate counsel in the matter. Now, you can imagine that whether or not Jed Wallace was involved in this specific lawsuit, it doesn't benefit Justin Baldoni if Blake Lively gets discovery. There could be, folks, we don't know, but there could be damning evidence. The only evidence that Blake Lively has so far is evidence that came from that PR lady's cell phone that was kind of, she left the company took the cell phone, ratted her out, and that's what they have. There could be more damning stuff. My guess is there isn't, because Justin Baldoni was pretty professional in all of his text messages. He didn't want the smear to happen. He just wanted the defense. And again, I've called this jujitsu, right? He didn't want to attack anybody. He just wanted self-defense in case she attacked him. In summary, although the Wayfair parties take exception to many of the representations advanced in the Lively party's letter, the Wayfair parties do not oppose their request for an extension and in turn request a corresponding extension. So that's them saying, hey, give it to her. And the judge, of course, only gave her a couple days. But here's what's interesting. There's a new subreddit called It Ends with a Lawsuit, and they reshared this, but this is from the this is from the Justin Baldoni subreddit. My legal AI app dissected the ruling and letters. It's embarrassing how Lively's lawyers keep failing. Key takeaways from Baldoni's response to Lively's extension. Baldoni's legal team is using this opportunity to highlight contradictions in Lively's lawsuit and push back against her claims. Here's what the letter reveals and why it matters. Okay, this is finally a good use of AI. AI is used to basically just make hot chicks and aliens, drone videos, hot aliens flying around, but finally some good use. They are not blocking Lively's request for more time, but make it clear that she previously refused to grant them the same courtesy during the LA wildfires. They request that if the court grants Lively's extension, they should also get additional time to respond. This makes Lively look unreasonable for refusing an earlier extension to them while now asking for one herself. By agreeing to the extension but demanding fairness, they make Lively's actions appear hypocritical. This could make the judge more skeptical of her legal tactics. Very good. I mean, hey, small ball, but this is chess, right? They call out Lively for misrepresenting the Jed Wallace lawsuit. Lively's team referred to Wallace's lawsuit as meritless and unmeritorious. Baldoni's team strongly objects, pointing out that Wallace's lawsuit only exists because Lively first initiated legal action against him in Texas. They emphasize that Lively failed to mention that she herself started this legal battle, making her complaint against Wallace seem misleading. This undermines Lively's credibility by showing she selectively presented facts to the court. If the judge sees this as intentional misrepresentation, it could hurt her case. Baldoni's team points out Lively's own legal contradictions. They highlight that Lively acknowledged Texas was the proper jurisdiction for Wallace's case, but is now trying to argue it isn't. This makes it seem like she is changing her legal stance to suit her needs. They also attach Exhibit A, showing Lively admitted she lacked enough facts to make a case against Wallace, contradicting her attacks on him. If Lively is seen as shifting legal arguments for convenience, the judge may not take her claims seriously. Boy, this AI app is great. This is amazing. Who needs an assistant when you have artificial intelligence taking over the world? Boy. I mean, I'd rather not have AI, but here we are. They subtly discredit Lively's claims without directly attacking her. Instead of outright rejecting her extension, they use this response to expose weaknesses in her case. They highlight inconsistencies without sounding aggressive, making them appear more reasonable. They don't engage in name-calling, just factual rebuttals, which courts favor. This helps Baldoni appear as the reasonable party while portraying Lively as the one misrepresenting facts. This measured approach will likely work in their favor. Final verdict. Baldoni's legal team is playing smart. Lively's team looks sloppy. A sloppy Joe. A sloppy Joe. They are allowed. Remember Sloppy Joes? That couldn't have been healthy for us. My generation's all messed up. Why? Sloppy Joes. It's the pink slime. They are allowing the extension, but using it as a way to highlight Lively's contradictions. They are making her refusal to grant them an extension look unfair. They are pointing out how she has misrepresented facts. They are ensuring that if she gets more time, they do too, so they aren't at a disadvantage. This response weakens Lively's credibility while keeping Baldoni's team in a strong legal position. If Lively keeps changing her legal arguments, the judge may start dismissing her claims outright. Wow, artificial intelligence, pretty good stuff right there, breaking it all down for us. So again, what might seem as just an innocuous response to the judge is a chance to just get a jab, a metaphorical jab in, and expose what Baldoni's side believes, and I think most of the audience believe, is using evidence selectively for your case when you want it, and then, not using it when you don't. And that's what Blake, of course, did in the New York Times article. Rescind Blake Lively's Producers Guild Association credit, PGA credit, from It Ends With Us film. 9,000 plus signatures. Again, these change.org petitions really don't mean anything. But it still goes to show there's a lot of people that say, hey, get her out. We don't want her. And, getting producer credit, take it away from her. Now, the only way I think this happens is if they rule, and how ironic would it be, that she used sexual harassment to coerce or grapple control of the project away from Justin. If the court rules that she made that all up, then maybe the same clause that she was hoping to use to gain control of the film would be used against her, that being a sort of morality clause. We'll have to see if that exists. But is it a two-way street? That's the question. All right, well, there's your update. Again, this is our, fourth video of the day, and we still have the afternoon rush. If you appreciate this content, I'll tell you this. I'll never be the smartest. I'll never be the prettiest, and I certainly do not have the highest production value. But we are going to outwork anybody else. If you enjoy that, hit the subscribe button. If you want to put some bread in the tip jar, go to patreon.com/Dave Neal. Join our private community where we have daily behind-the-scenes live streams. We have a live stream happening right now. It happens every morning for a couple hours as my private community watches us make this content. So if you're wondering, Dave, how do you make such good thumbnails? Well, now you can find out how. It's your boy with a large coffee going to town. That's what we got going on. All right, thank you guys so much. We'll be back with the afternoon rush. That's coming next.